My attempt to rescue the blackworms from my Daphnia culture from the tiny specimens that survived on brown paper and spirulina yeast in solution that I had for the Daphnia was going pretty slow. And so I called around local pet stores and managed to locate one that has California blackworms on offer for sale. So I decided to go ahead and pick up a culture. As I understand it, California blackworms don't tend to breed sexually in captivity. The only way they reproduce is by regeneration. If one is cut in half, then both halves can generate a new specimen. And this doesn't occur very often in a pickle jar. So the thing to do is set up an aquarium with a very thin layer of gravel on the bottom and a sponge filter to keep the nitrates down. And every 4 or 5 days, take a spatula and stir that gravel up, and the trauma should break quite a few worms in half, and they can regenerate. So that's the way to increase your blackworm culture. I set a 2.5 gallon tank up for that, and I also picked up some water wisteria. I'm not sure if water wisteria will withstand a full 48 hours in alum solution, so I just left it for 1 day and then examined each plant closely for pest snail eggs. And those plants were quite leggy, so I cut the stems off and stuck them in my scud culture. To come up with enough black gravel for my blackworm culture, I robbed the scud culture and replaced that with coal slag, and it has some compost mixed in, so that should provide sufficient nutrition for these stems from the water wisteria. Also, with water wisteria, sometimes a single leaf can generate a whole new specimen. So I saved the leaves that came loose from the plants, and whatever leaves are rotting away, the scuds will probably devour. Here's a look at the cherry shrimp 10-gallon aquascape. The Hygrophila corymbosa cherry leaf variant was growing quite leggy, so I snipped those in half and replanted the tops. And I've added the water wisteria about that and in front of the hardscape. I think it really fills it in. And this is the only tank in which Java moss is doing well for me at this point. I'm not sure why that is. Perhaps adding it to the 75-gallon CO2 injected tank is a mistake. I think that jungle vallisonera exudes chemicals detrimental to it. But the cherry shrimp are right happy in this aquascape, and I intend to slowly begin adding some micro and macronutrients to the tank so the cherry shrimp will get used to it, and perhaps the cherry leaf will make a comeback.